Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started now. Good afternoon and welcome to today's session of Imagine America Radio, our continuing Career College Exposition webinar series. My name is Lee Doubleday and I'm with the Imagine America Foundation. I'm excited about today's topic, the benefits of career and technical schools, sponsored by Triangle Tech. Triangle Tech is Pennsylvania's leading provider of high-quality, career-focused education at 6 locations across Pennsylvania. Triangle Tech is also a 20-year sponsor of the Imagine America Scholarship and Award programs, having provided admissions-based financial aid to more than 3,000 enrolling Imagine America students. Without taking any valuable time from our presenter, let me refer any and all inquiries about the Imagine America Foundation and our scholarship programs to our website, which is www.imagine-america.org. Since our beginning in 1999, Imagine America remains a leading sponsor of scholarship aid to enrolling high school students. However, our country faces a serious shortage in certified skilled technicians. We hear from employers in virtually all sections of the country desperately looking for qualified employees, so we need to do more. Our partner in today's presentation is Triangle Tech. And joining us today to discuss in detail the looming technician shortage and how Triangle Tech is helping meet this need is Ashley Kessler. Ashley is a nationally recognized expert in this area with an extensive K-12 background, having been working with high schools for over 10 years. Before turning the program over to Ashley, let me outline today's agenda. Today's session of Imagine America Radio will be 30 minutes maximum, with questions and answers at the end. All participants can submit questions while the presentation is in session via the Q&A feature in this Zoom meeting. At the end of the presentation, or approximately 2:25, I will then present any questions offered by the participants. We will address as many questions as possible and provide written responses and follow-up emails, as well as a recording of this session. We will have a hard close at 2:30 p.m. So without taking any more time out of today's presentation, let me turn today's session over to Ashley Kessler. Ashley, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Lee, and to Imagine America for having me on this webinar, and I want to welcome everybody who's participating this afternoon. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Hopefully the start to your school year has been relatively smooth as well. So yeah, I do appreciate you taking the time. What I'm going to talk to you guys about are just some post-secondary options, just so you're aware of what's out there for your students, and I am going to talk more specifically about Triangle Tech. But I think in this virtual world that we're all a little more used to now, everybody's working on Zoom, Google Classrooms, Google Meets. There might be a concern with how do I make sure I have all the information necessary to assist my students with making their post-secondary plans. So hopefully I'm going to explain a little bit about one of these options for you and your students, and then also talk about ways that we can work together as we head into the rest of the school year as well. So let's start off with, what exactly is a post-secondary career and technical school, a trade school? This term is thrown out a lot. So it is a post-secondary option. So a student does have to be a high school graduate or have a GED to start these programs. They're occupationally oriented educational institutions who are offering entry-level skills and training focused on specific careers. And there's a lot of benefits to attending a technical school for students. The first is you're getting training in fields with critical shortages. A lot of times there's going to be a good amount of hands-on learning. And with most of these career technical trade schools, a student will be able to graduate and enter the job market in 2 years or less, which gives them a really good return on investment. So for instance, Triangle Tech programs are actually 16 months, which is 8 months sooner than a 2-year degree, which means they can be in the job market 2 or 8 months sooner and be earning a salary 8 months sooner as well. So, going back to this first bullet point real quick, training in fields with critical shortages. I know Lee mentioned this in the introduction. There's a huge skills gap right now. According to Mike Rowe, hopefully you guys are familiar with who Mike Rowe is. If not, look up some of his stuff online. He's best known for being the host of Dirty Jobs. But there are 7 million jobs right now that are open. And the vast majority they don't require a 4-year degree, so there's all these opportunities that people aren't talking about, and as a result, the skills gap has gotten wider. And a big contributing factor to the skills gap is baby boomer retirements. Over the years, there's been a lot of retirements in the skilled trades. A lot of people are getting ready to retire. And over the years, there really hasn't been the younger generation getting the proper skills and training to replace those as they're leaving the workforce. And in 2020, there's an estimated 31 million skilled trade jobs that is left vacant due to baby boomer retirement. I mean, that is a huge number. And not only are the skilled trades high in demand, they're essential careers as well. Again, COVID, I don't want to keep bringing this up, but I think it's almost impossible to talk about post-secondary plan without, mentioning this, because I'm sure some people are starting to rethink some things, maybe where they want to go to school, maybe what they were going to study. They're realizing, hey, a lot of those jobs, people were getting laid off during the shutdown, and the skilled trades are essential. They have proven to be more stable than many other professions, as proven by the fact that many of these duties and jobs were deemed essential during COVID-19 lockdowns. Triangle Tech, across all 6 of our locations throughout the state over these last 6 months, we have had over 1,300 full-time job openings over these last 6 months. So these employers, these jobs are still hiring. So it's a really good time for somebody to be looking into a really great high-demand essential career path. So in order for somebody to make sure they're getting into the right school, the best thing I can recommend is making sure that they are connecting with an admissions representative at that school to take a tour. A lot of schools, I can't speak for every single school, of course. I know what Triangle Tech is doing. We do have options for somebody to tour our school virtually or in person. So depending on what a student is comfortable with, but certainly make sure they're connecting with somebody at that school to see what the options are. But it really gives them that opportunity to take a deeper dive into the program that they're interested in. They're having a one-on-one conversation with a person in real time. It's not a chat, on Facebook or anything like that. So they can ask questions like, how many students are graduating from this program? How many of them are getting placed in jobs? If they are able to go into the school for a tour, they also are able to walk around. They can check out the equipment, maybe look in on some of the classes, just make sure it's a really good atmosphere for them to get into as well. So every school I know is working differently right now with what the parameters are. Triangle Tech, like I said, from the admission standpoint, there are options for both virtual and admissions or in-person admissions appointments. Now, after they take a tour of the school, if they decide this is a fit for them and they're looking to take the next step, the registration process is pretty simple. First, they're going to want to figure out when they want to start. A lot of schools, you do have 2 options. You can start in the fall, you can start in the spring. Sometimes that's a September and a January. Triangle Tech actually offers 3 options for students. So we will have a start coming up in October. We're going to have another start in February and one in June. So for a lot of high school seniors, they would be looking at our June start at the earliest. But it is nice because we do have a couple different options. So depending on when somebody is ready to make their decisions, they might not be ready in June. They might not even be ready in October. They can get started in February. So really a lot of options depending on when they are ready to make that decision. Always double check on what admissions requirements are as well. For post-secondary schools, they do have to have a high school diploma or a GED. As far as testing scores go, we don't require SAT or ACT scores for admissions into Triangle Tech. I know this is another big conversation that's happening right now with a lot of schools, but it is nice with our admissions requirements that is not necessary to begin our programs. Now, what some students can expect out of a trade or technical school is a smaller class size. We would like to keep our classes at Triangle Tech to about 25 students or less. So it's a really nice student-teacher ratio. They're not getting lost in the shuffle, a lot of personalized attention throughout their experience here. One of the main factors that tends to attract a lot of students is that the majority of the classes will be in their chosen fields with a lot of hands-on training and theories. If you have a student who is a hands-on worker, that's what they like to do. They want to be building, they want to be wiring, they want to be welding. And a lot of their classes is hands-on lab work. There are theory classes that we don't just throw somebody in a booth for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. There is a lot of theory behind it, but what is nice is everything they're taking is to prepare them for the workforce. They don't have to write poetry. There's no history classes or electives for them to choose from. They're really focusing on getting the skills necessary to prepare them for entry-level work. This last bullet point, attendance is going to be extremely important for students. I always say, no matter where a student ends up going, they're really just going to benefit themselves by showing up to class, being there, taking notes, being present. But especially at a trade or technical school, I just said they're smaller class sizes. They're not in a lecture hall with 300 other people, so whenever they're there, it's documented. And a lot of these schools, we try to operate the classroom similar to what a work site would be. So our classes start at 8 o'clock. If a student comes in at 8:07, they're 7 minutes late. It's what we all experience when we go to work for the most part. And so not only is attendance, if they're not in class, of course they're missing out on all that great hands-on training, but looking down the road from potential employers, whenever they're working with our career advisors, whenever they're talking to our directors and they're looking to hire, usually the first thing they will ask is, who has the best attendance? It's not always who's the most skilled, who has the best grades, who's showing up, because if they're showing up to class, they're going to show up to work. So attendance is definitely stressed. Now, what a student will be awarded, it largely depends on where they're attending. They might receive a diploma. It could be a certificate. It might be an associate's degree, or what we're offering at Triangle Tech, which is called an associate's in specialized technology degree. So a little bit more in depth about Triangle Tech's programs, who we are. We've actually been around since 1944, so a very long-standing school with 6 locations throughout the state. We're in Pittsburgh, we're in Greensburg, Du Bois, Sunbury, Bethlehem, and then we just opened up our newest location in October of 2019 in Chambersburg. So the fact that we are still growing and expanding as a school should really give you a lot of assurance that we are dedicated to our graduate success, and hopefully one of our locations is going to be relatively close to wherever you're calling in from. We are nationally accredited by the Accrediting Commission of Career Schools and Colleges, which is really important when students are looking at various schools. And over the years, we have been named a school of excellence, a school of distinction over the years. And we've also been listed to Forbes magazine's first ever top 30 trade schools in the country, which they published a few years ago. So we're really proud to have these awards and recognitions behind our name as well. We offer 5 different programs. We have a CAD with additive manufacturing and 3D printing. We have a maintenance, electricity, and construction program, carpentry and construction, refrigeration, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and our welding and fabrication program as well. Now, depending on which of our Triangle Tech locations will be closest to you, not every program is available at every campus. So if you are curious which ones are available at the school closest to you, please feel free to put that into the question and answer, and we can get to that at the end. But just to tell you a little bit about each and every one of these programs, I'm not going to go too in depth, but just to give you an idea of what our students are getting into. With our carpentry and construction program, the focus is on residential with some light commercial. They're building a house from the ground up, so it's really impressive to always see where they're at various stages. They're starting with the concrete forms and placement, they're doing stair design, they're doing interior trim, window installation, roof design, some masonry work, get some of the related trades, bathroom remodeling, kitchen remodeling, light plumbing, light electrical. We have a cabinet shop, so very comprehensive program. This is also a really good field if somebody is interested in having their own business. They're going to get skill sets. They're taking classes like project management, reading and writing of contracts, cost estimation. So they're going to have the skills to have their own business down the road. Our welding and fabrication, we focus on 4 processes. We do MIG, TIG, stick, and flux core, and we're doing that on both pipe and plate. And our students will also test for 3 certifications in this program. So on top of our Associates in Specialized Technology degree, students can also have their certification with the American Welding Society for structural steel, and then 2 pipe certifications as well. One is through the American Petroleum Institute, which is lower pressure system. So for somebody who's interested in working on some of the gas lines, that's a certification for that. And also with the American Society of Mechanical Engineers for your higher pressure systems, such as nuclear subs and power plants. So these certifications in the welding field are extremely important and makes a graduate very marketable to have all of those certifications as well. Our refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning program start off in residential. I think a lot of times when people say HVAC technician, they're like, yeah, that's a person, my heat's not working, my air conditioning's not working, and it's 95 degrees outside, so you have to call somebody to fix it. Yes, you learn all of that. Then you get into the commercial side of things. So think of your grocery stores, think of places like Sheetz or Wawa's for anybody on the eastern part of the state. Think of places like Dairy Queen, restaurants, all those walk-in coolers and refrigerators and freezers. You're learning all of that. You get into transport refrigeration. Then we get into industrial with digital controls. So again, very great overview. And then also for somebody who wants to have their own business, they're going to have the skill set to do that as well out of our HVAC program. Our CAD with additive manufacturing and 3D printing, this is our blueprint design. They're doing both architectural and mechanical. We use a few different software packages. If any of you guys have a CAD class or an engineering course at your schools, you may be familiar with some of these. We use AutoCAD for 2D. We use Revit and Inventor for our 3D modeling. And then we also are teaching the skill set for upcoming additive manufacturing design along with our 3D printing, which is really the direction this field is heading into. And last is our maintenance electricity program. So we focus on maintenance and construction in the areas of residential, commercial, and industrial. And the focus of this is really that industrial side. It's called programmable logic controllers, which is the future of this particular field when you're talking about getting into automation. This is really where that direction is heading. So the nice thing with all of our programs is our students, they're not just learning one skill to go into one career. They're getting a great overview of the entire field to really figure out, to go into a multitude of careers. They can really diversify. And it's nice too, sometimes some students might think this is a deterrent. We talk about these programs and they sound interesting, but they get nervous or hesitant because maybe they haven't taken any courses. Maybe they don't go to their CTC. Maybe they never took any of the CAD or woodshop classes offered. So they're thinking, well, I've never done this. I don't know the first thing about electricity other than I know how to turn a light switch on and off. You know, I've never welded before. I wouldn't know where to start. We start each student from the very beginning. So even if somebody doesn't even know what a hammer is or how to use it or how to identify it, we start from the beginning. So please don't let that be a deterrent if anybody might be thinking about this or you think this could be a good fit for a potential student, but they've never taken classes or they don't have any work experience. They're not going to be behind in the least. Switching gears a little bit, talking about financial aid. Again, this is, I know, a really big conversation that people are having right now. And what's really good at each of our locations is there is an on-site financial aid advisor that will have one-on-one appointments with students and their families. So they'll go through the FAFSA form step by step with them to really make sure there's going to be no surprises with their budget, see what they're eligible for in their grants and their loans. We are a yellow ribbon school, so if any students are thinking about going into the military and then using their GI benefits, we do accept that as well, so that's a great option. Credit for credit articulations. I just finished saying how if a student is coming in with absolutely no experience, they're not going to be behind at all, and that's correct. However, you might have some students that are going to the local career centers, their CTCs, and maybe they're saying, okay, well, I've already taken 3 years of welding courses, or I've taken some CAD classes already. I don't need to start from the beginning. We have established credit for credit articulations with a lot of these CTCs across the state, or we've taken a look at the curriculums that are being taught there to compare with what we're teaching at Triangle Tech. And if there's some overlap, as long as a student is getting an appropriate grade at their CTC, these credits would automatically transfer into us. So they don't have to take the class and they don't have to pay for the credits. So it is a really great option for any of those students who are already involved in some of these courses while they're in high school. On that note as well, I do want to say we do have a lot of testing out options as well. So maybe they're going to their program, but we don't have an established articulation for that program yet. Maybe it's somebody who doesn't have experience, but they're really good on computers, or they're great with math, and they want to say, I want to test out of algebra. They can come in, they can ask to test out of up to 50% of our curriculum. They have to take the final, which is free, And if they get a 75% or higher on that final, they've placed out, which means they don't have to take the class. And again, they don't have to pay for the credit either. So there are a lot of options for that as well, if anybody likes to take advantage of that. Lastly, scholarships. I will say whenever I speak to high school students, myself and all the reps that I work with, we do try to encourage them to explore all scholarship opportunities available to them, starting with going into their counseling office, especially local scholarships. I've been doing this 10 years, and as my travels, I know, you guys know how many scholarships go unclaimed, because nobody came in to ask about it. Nobody wanted to fill out an application, you know, $200 scholarship there, $150 there. Nobody's taking advantage of that. So we do try to encourage high school students to explore those options, because every little bit helps. There are a lot of scholarships for technical education. And again, this is all discussed during the financial aid appointment as well. So American Welding Society has a scholarship, MicroWorks. Imagine America, of course, has a fantastic scholarship. And we do award our own scholarships as well. Our scholarships are for our June starts, so it covers 25% of our tuition. So if somebody is thinking about our school, our programs, it is a really good opportunity for them to apply. They do have to have a 2.5 GPA. They have to be willing to write a very brief essay. It's 250 words, which is nothing, and get 2 letters of recommendation. So if you guys want any scholarship applications to have on hand, again, please feel free to let me know. I'm going to put my contact information up as well. If you want to have any of our scholarship applications to have in your office, more than happy to send that to you. And last, I just want to talk about our career advising. Job placement services, that's everybody's end goal. Everybody wants to be working. Everybody wants to have a job. So again, each one of our locations has a career advisor that is helping our graduates with their job placement. It starts off with them taking a class called Job Communications, which is they're getting cover letters and resumes, working on those. Our career advisors will conduct mock interviews with each of our students. And then they really get to know our students. What are they interested in doing? Where do they want to work? Is there a certain company? And if we have an electrician, do they want to go into the industrial side of the field or commercial? Maybe there's a welder who's saying, I truly don't care what type of work I'm doing, but I want to live at the beach. So our career advisors have a lot of connections within companies. They're sending out resumes. Companies are calling us up. Sometimes they'll do interviews on our campus. And it's a really good service that we offer. And it's fantastic because it's also continual for our graduates. This isn't just a one-time service that we offer upon their graduation. We can have a graduate who calls us up today that graduated 20 years ago. And if they're looking for a new job, we can still offer assistance. Likewise, I don't have a bullet for this, but we also offer free refreshers for our graduates as well. So some of our services is not just while they're a student, we're with them for their entire career. So I'll use welding. You know, if somebody starts off as a MIG welder, and then after 7 years, they're starting a job in TIG welding. Well, that's a completely different process. And maybe they haven't done any TIG welding since they've graduated. So they want to come in, freshen up. They can come back into our labs, audit our classes, and freshen up their skills at no charge. To the employers who are hiring our graduates, we give them a 90-day guarantee as well. So we let them know if during their first 90 days of hiring one of our graduates, if there's any skills that aren't up to par, they can be sent back to us for additional training. So we really want to stick with our students, not just while they're with us, but also through their career as well. So with that, I know we're coming into about our 5-minute mark here, and I want to open it up for questions in just a minute, but we are offering associates and specialized technology degrees in 16 months. Couple other ways to get some information. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube has some wonderful videos from our graduates, from employers. Definitely want to encourage you to look into our YouTube site. Also, we have a website. You can call for more information. I also put in my email address as well. So for anybody who wants to connect with me directly, certainly this year, any opportunities to help connect to your students through virtual presentations, through in-person presentations, if your school is allowing that, depending on what the situation is, more than happy to coordinate something along those lines. So feel free to reach out to me directly at that email. So with that being said, Lee, I'm going to turn it over to you for any questions that we have. I think we're just right at about 5 minutes here.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Ashley, for your time today. And I just want to let everybody know if you have a question that you want to ask Ashley, just click on the Q&A button on your Zoom meeting, and you should be able to ask any question there. And it does look like we actually have a question. This person wants to know if we wanted to talk to one of Triangle Tech's local representatives, should we go to your website or could we just contact you directly?
You can contact me directly.
Okay. Looks like we have one more question. This person wants to know about accreditation. Now, you said that you were accredited by ACC-SC, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I know that you guys have been, awarded School of Excellence a few times, so that's good. So we have that question. Another person wants to know if this is being recorded. So yes, this is being recorded. I will be sending the recording of this presentation to you. It takes me about a day to get it all edited and sent to you, but you should have that tomorrow. Other than that, I don't think we have any more questions. Oh, one more question. Do you have any upcoming events? I know, that we're kind of used to doing open houses, although we're probably not doing those right now because of COVID-19. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit? Or
sure. Yeah, that's an excellent
virtual
question.
Events?
Yeah, we've actually never really hosted any open houses, a set day where everybody can come. We really work more one-on-one with a student's schedule. So if anybody is interested in looking at our school, whether it's virtually, whether it's being done in person, again, you can reach out to me directly and I can help coordinate you with somebody for somebody to come in and take a visit of the school.
Okay, perfect. And then should also anybody on this call be interested in having one of your representatives present to a classroom, they can just contact you directly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. So with that being said, I just want to thank our participants for taking time out of their busy schedule